I'd like to call to order the Monday, February 12th, 2018 Charter Township of Oxford Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. Would you please stand to pay respects to the flag? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Secretary, please note the roll.
Noted.
Moving on to the item number 4, the approval of the agenda as presented. Any changes, additions, subtractions?
We approve the agenda as written.
Second. Have a motion and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Moving on to item number 5A, the approval of our minutes from our regular meeting of October 9th, 2017. Any modifications, changes, if not? I'll entertain a motion.
The only, that one. So we did approve it the first time, right?
First and second.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if maybe just a comment that we were just going to review the tape for the wording of the motion, and that's why we didn't vote on it at that time.
I move to approve the regular meeting minutes from October 19th, 2017.
October 9th.
October 9th. Is that what did I say?
Might have been 19th.
Second for this?
Second.
A motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Moving on. The approval of our minutes from our January 8th, 2018 meeting. January 8th, 2018.
I move to approve the regular meeting minutes from January 8th, 2018 meeting. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, moving on. For item number 6, public comment on any item not on this evening's agenda. Anyone from the public would like to come up and speak out of that item? Please rush. Moving on to that. Moving on to our regular business, 7A. It is ZBA 004.18, 583 South Lapeer Road, parcel number 0426 0303 002 and 0426 303 003. The applicant, Clean Cars Incorporated, a Michigan corporation, address 157 South Washington, Oxford, Michigan 48371. The owner, Top 1010 Holdings LLC, address 4301 Orchard Lake Road, Suite 180 and 189, Bloomfield, Michigan 48323. The subject property is located in the C2 General Commercial Zoning District, which is located at 583 South Lapeer Road. The approval of application as submitted would require a variance from the zoning ordinance section 67A, Article 36.13, open air business, outdoor sales, display of products, storage, and setback. The way our meetings work, the procedure is the applicant will make a statement. We'll open a public hearing. We'll take comments and questions from the public. We'll close the public hearing. We'll have any building administrators' comments. We'll have a finding of fact, record questions and comments from the board members, findings of fact, a motion, a discussion, a comment, and then a vote. So is the applicant here?
At this point, and you need to.
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
Yes, please.
At this point, because I'm on planning commission as liaison and I've already seen this, I will be stepping to the back room and not participating. I will note that you guys have been provided a copy of the minutes from the planning commission meeting, which is in your packet. And so,
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
From the planning commission standpoint?
Sure.
Were there any conditions imposed upon them for special land use?
Nope, the conditions were just that they had to come in front of ZBA to obtain any dimensional variances they would need.
Okay, thank you. Good evening.
Hi, I'm David McDonald. I'm with Warner Norcross. I'm the attorney for Clean Cars, and so I'll be here representing Clean Cars, Inc. Jim Klinkenberger is also here. He's the engineer, and so we're both going to be here on behalf of Clean Cars. Just so you know, I don't want to bore you guys because I know you have the application, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But just to summarize, first of all, Clean Cars has been in business since 1999. They're a used car dealership. They don't do repairs or anything like that. It's basically they just sell cars, used cars, and they do special financing as well for used vehicles. They do have 2 current locations, one in Imlay City and one, I believe, is in Lake Orion. He is considering, because he would like to bring a business here to the township, he is considering moving either one of those businesses perhaps to this location. And so right now he currently has, he's in the process of buying this property at 583 South Lapeer Road. One of the conditions is to get all the governmental approvals that we need, and so that's why we're here today. We have already been approved for a land combination for the 2 parcels that you guys had cited, and also we were approved for our site plan conditioned on getting this variance. And we were also approved for a special land use. This is a permitted use, but we did have to go through and get a special land use for that. So that was also approved, conditioned on getting this variance, setbacks. This location was previously used as a Burger King, and it's been vacant, I think, since December of 2015. So there really hasn't been anything, no operations on this property. So we believe this would be a good thing for the township to get an active business in there, good for the community as well as obviously for our client who's looking forward to coming to this township and doing business. Although we've put in a request to do a setback variance for both the front setback and the side setbacks, as I look at the zoning ordinance, to me it appears, based on section 3.7 footnote M of your zoning ordinance, that there's a provision in that footnote that says for interior side yards are not required. So if it's an interior lot with a road not on the side setback, then there really is no side setback requirement. At least that's how I'm reading the ordinance. So I wanted to at least point that out. I don't know what the board's view is on that, if you guys have come across. There's really no definition for what an interior side yard is, but typically with other municipalities that means that the interior would mean that there's not a road on the side lot lines. All right. Moving ahead with the 5 factors. The first one being whether there is strict compliance with the setback, whether strict compliance with the setback will unreasonably prevent the owner from using the property for a permitted purpose. We believe that it does. Strict compliance isn't unreasonable. It will unreasonably prevent us from using the property. In order for us to attract customers and maintain sufficient inventory to operate the business, we really need, this setback, if we were to go with a strict compliance, takes up 50% of our property. So there's really no room for parking. So because we're dealing with a used car lot, which obviously it's critical to have inventory parking for a used car lot, we need to have, basically the layout that we have on the site plan that's been submitted. With respect to the second factor, that the variance will do substantial justice to the applicant as well as to other property owners. Obviously, we believe it's going to do substantial justice for us because we're going to be able to operate our used car lot there. But we also think it's going to do a substantial justice to other property owners. I don't think the property owners or the community likes having a vacant piece of property there that's not operating. I think it's going to be good for the township for perhaps even increasing tax revenues by having a operating business at that location. And so we believe there will be substantial justice to both the applicant and the surrounding area owners. We also believe that it will improve the overall aesthetics of the area. With respect to the third factor, would a lesser variance than requested give substantial relief? Jim and I have gone through this along with the client, tried to find alternative layouts that might work. And Jim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we really couldn't find another reasonable layout. There's just not enough space there with the layout of the property to really not be encroaching on that front setback and the side setbacks. With respect to the fourth factor, which is the need for the variance due to the unique circumstances of the property. Again, because of the size and layout of this property, there really is not anything else that we could do. There's really nowhere else to put the vehicles. A lot of the parking is already existing parking, just to keep that in mind. On the rear setback, we've got some customer parking. Or is that employee parking on the rear? Employee parking, I'm sorry. And that's in existence. Some of the parking around the building itself is already in existence. And so we're really just putting new parking, I guess it would be on the north side, south side.
South side's already existing parking that's already within.
That's right, south side is too, yeah.
I could get you on the mic.
Oh,
It makes it easier for our recording because you acknowledge yourself and who
yeah.
you're with. and
James.
That'll help out our recording.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Name is James Klinkenberger. I'm with Noah and Frost, the civil engineer for my client. As Dave was saying, the parking on the south side is actually existing. The only new parking will be along the road frontage.
Could you step a little closer to the mic?
Oh, sorry.
Thank
The
you.
only new parking would be along the road frontage and then the north portion of the property. So the majority, really, I'd say there's about 50 to 60% of the parking that we're looking at is already existing, and we're asking for variances, again, like I said, really for along the front road, the north side and the south side, depending, I think, on the reading of the zoning ordinance. If it is found that the side yard setbacks are supposed to be, I think, 35 feet, 30 feet. The south side of the property, the existing parking is already within that. So we would ask for a variance to bring the existing parking into compliance, then not to build new parking along the south side.
Thank you.
Okay, and so the fifth factor, whether the problem has been self-created by the applicant themselves. It's not, it's an existing building. It's really more due to the layout of the property and the existing improvements that are already on the property. So there's really nothing new that we've created that's causing this setback, other than the fact that we want to use it for a used car lot, which is a permitted use. So that's the 5 factors. There are, as we've submitted on the application, we have noticed that there are a lot of properties. The property right to, I think it's the north side, is already, I mean, the building's right on the lot line. And so they've obviously received a side setback of 0 on that. And that's the case in a lot of the surrounding properties. So we don't feel like we're doing anything more burdensome than a lot of the surrounding properties. So again, it's our opinion that the side setback variance is not required, but to the extent it is, we'd be requesting that we have a dimensional variance for the side setbacks of, to allow us to be within 5 feet, and then also a dimensional variance for the front to be within 25 feet. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, just that I'm available for questions.
No. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing. It's 7:16. Anyone from the public wishes to speak on this item, please come forward. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. There is a letter, January 22nd, 2018, from our planner, Carlisle Warren Associates, essentially outlining the requirements of the C2 district and the dimensions that are required on page 2. There's table 1 in the C2. They essentially treat it like a building. The setbacks where the inventory has to be. So that's why you're seeing a front yard variance of 10 foot and then the 2 side yard variances of 25 feet, giving 30-foot requirement. But the site plan has the 5 feet on the north and south, which is considered the side. I'm not sure how that interior side yard works. I've seen it done a couple of different ways. I think for our interpretation, it's going to be those generally side yards pursuant to the C2 zoning. Any questions of the applicant? Any board member? No. I do have a couple. Yeah. One relates to a comment you made regarding setbacks or variances granted from other property owners. I'm not necessarily sure if anything was ever granted for those. There's a lot of existing conditions within this township. We should meet pretty much regularly to deal with a lot of those.
Yeah.
Just because obviously, as you know, and as you know, things change over time.
Sure.
So the other question I do have, any consideration given to the south side of the property? The driveway that's there, it's a one-way drive. I think the driveway's like 38.5 feet. I mean, we have the ability to give a lesser variance. Yes, it would require you to tear some pavement out and redo it. Get in more in compliance with that part of the ordinance. Any consideration given to that at all?
For the south side?
Yeah, the south side.
So you're talking about is that an easement? We weren't sure. Are you talking about the property to the south? There's like a road coming in.
There's a road there. What I'm saying right now, you have the curb line from the existing operation, that's 5 feet. The road, the driveway between the 2 angled parking spaces is 38.5 feet. You don't need 38.5 feet. You could move that over and make it in compliance. And I'm just asking the question.
Yeah.
It's a question I asked.
Yeah, well, when looking at that, one of the things that we have to look at is cost and what could happen when you start ripping out pavement, storm. I mean, there's a lot of things that could start snowballing or going through. If you said 38 feet, you're talking about taking it down to 24 or 26 feet, you're talking about 10 feet difference. So that 10-foot difference, we just didn't feel to be something that would be worth the while. If we're actually asking for the variances that we are asking for to save 10 feet on that side where there's a road, an access drive going through there, we just didn't feel to be something that would.
Because I looked at the north side and trying to treat them in equal balance. And the north side, obviously, the statement you made related to losing a parking, you lose parking spaces. That's correct. You certainly, the more we get in that compliance, the more spaces you lose. On the south side, realistically, you would lose no spaces. Yes, it would be a cost to your client.
Right. Well, the maneuverability, I mean, you're talking about a used parking lot. This is where the customer parking is going to be on the south side of the building. Another factor would be just maneuverability for cars and trucks and vehicles being able to pull in and out of there from the customer standpoint, and also the operations of the car dealership. The majority of it, again, like I said, you can always cut down on a drive aisle to its minimum, and typically, I think a developer, somebody would appreciate that because they're saving themselves some pavement. But if the room's there and it's already there, it is kind of nice to have that room for maneuverability, safety factors, and everything else. So
I mean, 38 feet is more than generous. And you know why it was put in there, because it was a drive-through.
right, and again,
I'm just asking the question.
Right. And I think it's the same reason that most likely whenever they did the Burger King, I think it's maneuverability, safety factors. The cars are pulling in, that's a one-way drive for people pulling in that way. Cars are going through that way. And again, it's an existing condition. There was no plan to actually do any type of development on that or changing of that area on that side. The pavement is good, curb's good. And again, like I said, to try to save 10 feet or 9 feet or whatever it might be.
Well, it's bigger than that, but,
Yeah.
so the traffic pattern, you're not losing a drive. You're going to still have the one way in and one way out, right?
Yeah, we're
So
not.
one way in the south, one way out in the north.
When the client first came to us and we were looking at that, he was thinking about trying to make it to be one, but since that's really an MDOT road through there, you have a curb cut, you have 2 curb cuts, don't give up a curb cut. The flow of traffic going through there, I think it's going to be a little bit safer than 2 cars coming in and out of there. I think you're going to get a little bit better traffic circulation.
Yeah, and it's obviously a different use than what you have there, or what was there.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you have high volume.
I think you're going to end up with more of the used cars being moved around by our client as opposed to traffic coming in and out from actual clients coming in there. When Richard stated from the planning commission meeting, he might go a day or 2 without having anybody stop by.
Along that same line, I had a question on the traffic, right? Because you're unloading and loading semis, car loaders inside this
That's
area?
more for new cars.
Where is that going to happen at?
I think on a used car, you might end up maybe with a flatbed truck that has 1 car on it possibly. You're not going to end up, like Dave was saying, a new car dealership might have the large trucks with many vehicles on there.
Sure.
This is probably more like cars actually being driven by an individual being brought in, just transferring it from one place to the other, or else possibly maybe 1 car on the back of the truck. And that's it.
A lot of it's going to be trade-ins, so it's going to be someone coming to buy a car. They're going to ask, "Could you buy my car for me?" And then they'll buy another used car. You get a lot of that.
Sure, so unloading on site would be more on a flatbed type of,
Yeah, if somebody was
Vehicle
to
versus a
do something, if he
semi.
was to purchase a vehicle from a far distance, I think he would do that 1 car, but you're not going to end up with
Could you
something like-
answer into the microphone, please?
Yeah, you wouldn't end up with the same type of traffic that you would have with a large truck as you would with a new car dealership.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it to be like our friend, Mr. Wally Edgar, who has, or Cosley, or Colin.
yeah, I wouldn't expect it. I just wanted to clarify.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you. Yeah.
Any other questions for board members? Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We'll move on to our findings of fact pursuant to 17.8. I think we have to do a decent job of explaining those, but we'll kind of go through those. If you're reviewing the request for the variance upon the circumstances recurring practical difficulty shall be considered with no single factor being determinative. Strict compliance with restrictions governing area, setback, frontage, height, density, and other non-use matters will unreasonably prevent the owner from using the property for a permitted purpose or render ordinance conformity unnecessarily burdensome. Or no comments? Apply, it doesn't apply?
I think it applies, Jim.
Really?
No,
I'm sure.
yeah, I would agree with that. I think it applies.
I would agree it was, it would. I mean, if you look at the amount of setback required, and you certainly have a lot of what would be available area for the use, so I think it would make it unnecessarily burdensome and strict compliance with that. All right, moving on, the variance will do substantial justice to the applicant as well as to other property owners. Or comments?
I think it applies as well. You do substantial justice, as the client stated in the letter, not only to themselves, but also the neighboring property owners.
I would agree with that.
I'm not sure about the neighboring property owners, but I definitely for themselves and for those of us that have to drive by there all the time, it would be nice.
I think it does apply. I think it does provide substantial justice to the applicant. Allows them to run a business, runs to do something that's been fallow for numerous years, and I don't think there's any need in that area for that, so I think it's a good thing. Moving on, lesser variance and requested, this will not give substantial relief to the applicant and will not be more consistent with justice to other property owners. Board member comments?
I think that applies.
Schultz, any comment?
I think it applies. I mean, we could go into a lesser variance, but you brought that question right out in front and, based on what the engineer's comments, but I think it applies very well.
I agree. I think a lesser variance would serve a good purpose.
Well, I agree. Believe it or not, I do agree. I brought the point, and I thought about, what would it do? Would it really, a couple more feet would really gain us anything? It really wouldn't. It's just, in this particular case, given that what's there, I'm okay with it. All right, the need for the variance is due to unique circumstances peculiar to the property, not generally applicable in the area or to other properties in the same zone. Board member comments?
I don't think it's unique specific to that property, considering several other ones have a similar setback or zero setback. So I think it's unique to just his property.
Schultz? Mr. Walters, any comments?
I think it applies. Improvements do not allow for vehicles for sale to be displayed anywhere other than within those current setbacks. So I think it does apply.
Applicability?
I agree with Mr. Bailey. It's not necessarily unique, but it's unique to his property, so. It's not unique to Oxford, to that area of Oxford.
I believe you're correct. There are other buildings in that area that have similar zonings that have similar type. So I don't think it's unique to this. I think the only unique part of this is the fact they're trying to do an adaptive reuse of a building instead of tearing it down. I think that's what makes this a bit more unique than anything else. So moving on, number 5, the problem and the resulting need for the variance has not been self-created by the applicant or the applicant's predecessors.
Well, the variance has it been self-created? Well, that's the size of the property, right? It's in their intended use for that. So is it, you kind of ask your question to yourself, is the problem resulting from this applicant putting this business in this property area, right? I think it does apply to that, this particular item is being self-created by the business that they want to put in there, but is it unique to that specific property? They can pick any property and they probably wouldn't have to ask for a variance either. So their layout is unique based on the property size that they're, the footprint that they're trying to have this business in.
I would agree with that. I think it's somewhat self-created by selecting that property, but it was somewhat created by their predecessor too. So I think it applies.
I agree, it does apply as well. So moving on, variance is being requested for the site is a 10-foot variance from the front yard, where the front is required to be 35 feet. They're asking for a variance, allowed a variance of 10 feet, to allow for a 25-foot setback. There's two other variances for the north and south side, where 30 feet is required. They're providing 5, there would be a 25-foot variance for both the north and the side yard setback. Any questions about that? So with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ZBA 004.18, 583 South Lapeer Road, parcel 0426303002 and 0426303003 by the applicant Clean Cars Incorporated, a Michigan corporation at 157 South Washington, Oxford, Michigan, 48371, as stated in the findings of facts, as well as the discussions of the variances set for the front at a 10-foot variance, the side to the south a 25-foot variance, and the side to the north a 25-foot variance.
A motion,
Second that.
It has been motioned and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call. Madam Secretary.
Walters,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes,
Kane, yes.
motion passes.
Carries.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much for the game.
Thank you for your detail. Appreciate it. And your application. So moving on to item number 8, board member comments. Mr. Schultz, Mr. Walters, why am I calling you Schultz?
Schultz, I don't know,
Why the
that's
hell?
the second time.
Why am I doing that? You know, you looked at me like, what are you saying?
I know.
Schultz.
Mr. Waltz, just a comment, and the applicant did a really nice job in detailing out what they're asking for variance, and including the findings of facts with hardship there. If most of the other applicants can follow this kind of format, they'd be definitely helpful
Sure, make our
with the
job
rules
easier.
and everything else. We've been, trying to struggle with calculations up here. Sometimes my calculations aren't the best, so it really makes it helpful. So,
Especially doing it on the fly.
yeah, right.
Yes.
So,
Bill?
I appreciate the effort that went into the motion as well. Didn't read it, but I do appreciate it. No, I'm saying I didn't get to get it, but I do appreciate you taking the time to write that.
I didn't get that.
Yours was worded pretty well,
Oh, it's-
but I do appreciate
oh,
it.
wow, nice. Get it on the fly.
We had a great turnout at the ZBA class, the Beyond the Basics. There was a full house there and yeah, it was, I've never seen one of them that full. Normally it's that very first quarter of the room that might be full. This was the entire conference room that was full, and they gave us a really good binder with information, so if anybody that didn't go wants to see mine, I'd be happy to share it with you. And then just point of, for future discussion, just in terms of procedures, I know we have our bylaws and kind of reviewing those every once in a while, but when somebody has a comment, just trying to clarify what the procedure is on the right to discuss it. We don't use Robert's Rules of Order, so maybe a future discussion on that.
And then into the future.
Yeah, I mean, if someone has a discussion and is really looking for input from the board instead of just going over it, maybe a comment of everyone that they don't think it's pertinent would be great, because that way we know how everybody stands, but I don't think people really should have their comments just brushed over. Anybody on this board, everybody should be able to speak. there was one more thing procedure-wise. Oh, joint meeting. We're looking at a joint meeting for Planning Commission, Township Board, and Zoning Board sometime, maybe mid-March. And I know, Deanna, you were kind of working on that. I don't know if there's any update. I'm just giving everyone a kind of a heads up that it's coming.
They already got emails. I didn't email you, just the planning question.
I'm sorry, what?
I emailed ZBA and Township Board. They're looking at March
Mid-to-late March.
22nd from 6 to 7.
March 22nd?
From 6 to 7 only.
And that's tentative at this point?
Pretty close.
Okay.
They have a county commissioner, that's what we can't do.
Yeah, either do.
It'll
it's
mostly
fine.
be about the master plan, just so you guys know. I know you're not a part of master plan, but it's nice just to hear it, I think.
Yeah.
So you guys have an idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And
It
ordinance.
should only be 1 hour to go to planning commission.
An ordinance review too, and that's our time to kind of identify if we can kind of brainstorm between now and then. We got the ordinance was changed for the non-conforming lots. I don't know if anyone's had a chance to see that update. I think it's one of those final reading, right? So it's
No,
almost official.
no,
Yeah,
it goes on for first reading.
Okay, it's close to becoming official, which hopefully would eliminate a lot of that, and it's kind of a blanket.
What we talked about.
Yeah, it's for, ones in that zoning district that have a setback of that, as long as the two sides equal. I think it's 12 feet. Don't quote me on that, but that one's already, passed through. But, if we can think of anything else between now and then we can, bring that up, things that we see on a regular basis that might need some tweaking. Like sign ordinance, maybe some comments on what we're seeing, or what might be ideal. That was it.
Okay. Anything else? Any comments? Okay.
I had one more comment. On the meeting minutes in draft form, did we ever decide on who proofreads that prior to it becoming public? Like we had some, over the course of the years, right, we'll have murals or morals or some grammar type things. Is somebody on the board or is it secretary who does the proofreading prior to it going to a public draft state or?
Well, we get our copy, we make our changes. Just be edited, and if it's approved, it comes for signature.
We've got, and I get the planning question that zoning board bylaws confused, so I know in one of them it says that the secretary is supposed to like review the minutes before the meeting and make any changes, possibly ahead of it being distributed. That's not always feasible, just timing wise.
The meeting minutes are supposed to be available for public, 8 days after the meeting, is that true?
5 days from one and 7 days or something.
8 days?
8 days.
And, someone from our board should be, thought the secretary would review that prior to that becoming a public paper, so that when it comes to this board, it should be pretty well, the grammar should be corrected and spelling and that sort of thing. So it's a real easy thing. Instead of us going through it at this meeting, I thought maybe we could do some up front or maybe downstream type of things before we get into more of a discussion about, this word spelled wrong or my name's spelled wrong or whatever it is, or incorrect.
Yeah, I typed.
So I didn't know if that would help or not. I just didn't know what we all decided last meeting because I wasn't here, but I didn't.
Well, there's two versions. The draft minutes have to be so many days after this meeting.
And they should be proofread
Yeah,
before they become public, is
Yes.
my point, right?
okay, yeah. I don't disagree with that.
So with this meeting, those draft, or whatever that is, comes this meeting, it should be ready to go. Would that make any sense then? Or
I
do
think somebody in the office.
they
I
proofread?
did.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right.
Because after I read them 20 times, I don't catch it. So Susan and I are working together in the
Okay.
clerk's office as deputy, so but I turn them over to her and she's we
Okay.
fix them.
That's awesome. It's just not enough 7 spell check. It's,
Yeah, I do that, but still, I mean, when you look at them 20 times, you just sort of,
One thing I'd like to see is a copy of, Chairman on that, a copy of the final approved minutes. If we're approving the draft minutes, it's easy, because we know that's the exact one, but if we make changes or have any edits, I'd like to see that come back, just to make sure that that got put on there, and that we have a copy of the actual approved ones, if they were changed from the draft. So it would need to be done if we approve the draft minutes or the proposed minutes, but if we make corrections like on, maybe typos or names, or took off the word special meeting,
we're not approving a draft.
we approve the draft, yeah, the draft minutes are presented to us, and then we would approve it. Now, we would approve it as written, or,
And that's it, right?
or if we made edits, if we found mistakes on it.
Oh, I see. Yeah, but we haven't really done that.
Right, well, like, the one that said murals and things like that, getting a copy of the final one sent out to us would be helpful, or having it in an area where we can access it, just so that we have it.
they're in the clerk's office.
Yeah, it may be easier than getting a bunch of copies out and go to the clerk and get it if we wanted, right?
It would.
And go to the clerk and get it, or get a copy of it if we wanted to review it.
Well, we should be seeing it to make sure that the changes were made.
But we can just go to the clerk's office and see it.
Yeah.
We got a lot of paper here.
Oh, I'm not saying we print it out. I'm just saying maybe it's available somewhere in a digital copy or on a drive or something, if we want to see them.
The official ones are numbered.
I didn't hear you.
The official ones have numbers on them, like this is the pledge? No, I didn't make a copy of the pledge. They're numbered, they go into a special book, special paper, they're numbered. Well, you see them when you
Yeah.
sign. So even if they're on my computer, it doesn't mean they're, and the officials are the ones that are literally on the special paper. They have a number on them,
It
it's
goes
all
in
in
the
order,
book.
Yeah.
It visibly goes to the book.
and then you
Yeah.
guys sign them.
Matter of record.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know, I wasn't aware, so thank you for telling me that someone's proofreading that and stuff, so
Yeah.
way before that, so
Yeah,
that's
no,
very
I
helpful.
worked it out, I mean, I could give it to the secretary, but I worked it out in the office, she's one of our better, she's good on English grammar.
Good.
All right, and we do a meeting in March, right?
Yes, we did. I forgot who it was, Maloney,
What's that?
Maloney in garage, but it's not a side yard setback, it's a front yard, it's not what we are changing.
With that, a motion for adjournment is in order.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Question second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? We don't.